F sharp, A sharp, revisited.
Hello everyone and welcome to F Sharp A Sharp Revisited, the music review podcast where every now and then we roast the artists we talk about. And it's going to be a fun one. Yeah. I am Joe, the music critic supervillain, and with me is my accomplice this time, it's Nick.
We've been far too positive recently, Joe.
Far too positive, and with this last month there have been some slim and easy pickings for us to roast.
I was quite astounded looking at the list of upcoming releases, just to see how many potential just disasters there were in the pipeline for this month. And we've got a few that we're going to talk about. We've got our own special event lined up for them. But I thought first we'd look at a couple of the bigger releases and talk about them in depth. One of them is Joe's, I don't know, ex-favourite band. Has it got to that point?
Oh, my relationship with Muse. I do hold them very dearly in my heart for Origin of Symmetry, Absolution, and Black Holes and Revelations. But since then they
released The Resistance, and then they released it again with a slightly different sheen, and then again with an even more different sheen, and now I feel like they've done it a third time with a different sheen. They seem to like that album and re-releasing it. Yeah.
Although what I would say is that I do think The Resistance is the weakest out of these recent lot, but anyway, Simulation Theory.
Yep,
a very musy title.
In case you didn't know, for whatever reason, Muse are a three-piece alternative rock band from the UK. This is their latest foray into their sort of futuristic, spacey rock sound. It's 11 tracks and 43 minutes long, unless you have the super deluxe version, in which case it is far too long.
In which case there's you can get the gospel version of Dig Down.
Oh my god.
And the alternative reality version.
I tried listening to some of the bonus tracks and wow, are they not necessary. But we're not going to talk about the bonus tracks, we're going to talk about the album as standard. With Muse, it's taken me a decade to realise that I enjoy them a hell of a lot more if I just don't take them seriously. And I can't believe it's taken that long. I mean, back when they were releasing albums like Origins of Symmetry and Absolution, I mean, I didn't get into them at that time, but when I did listen to those albums, I did take them seriously, and I thought those albums had a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Where's this? I mean, it's so ridiculously over the top.
Yeah, I think that's the key, Nick. You have to kind of accept that they're not releasing serious, down-to-earth music and kind of just go along with the madness that is the inside of Matt Bellamy's mind.
Because a lot of the topics they choose to cover on their songs do seem like attempts to capture the zeitgeist. But, I mean, oftentimes they just come across as absolute bizarre ways of putting things, and sometimes they're just completely late. Like, last year we talked about Dig Down.
Dig Down.
The single that was released a year in advance.
Yeah.
And even then was late on the topics it was talking about. There were a lot of stabs at, characters like Donald Trump in there, and now they're just as late, But we've already talked about Dig Down, so let's not dwell on that one too much.
We've got some other tracks to dwell on.
Yeah. Okay, so I actually didn't dislike this album as much as I expected to. And that's mainly because of this run of 4 tracks that happens.
Do you want to do the guessing my favourite track at this point before we... Yeah,
because Joe apparently, one of his favourite tracks of the year is on this album.
Yeah.
Which I do find a bit surprising, because while there are some tracks I like, I wouldn't call any of them album of the year material. But I'm going to guess they're from this run of 4 tracks in a row, which I think are good, starting with Pressure and ending with Something Human.
Yes, it's within those 4.
And I'm going to guess that it's one of the middle 2 of those 4, so it's either Propaganda or Break It To Me. And I'm going to guess it's Propaganda because it sounds a bit like a Prince song.
Close, but it isn't.
Was it Break It To Me?
It was.
Well, Break It To Me would have been my second choice because it has a guitar solo in it, which gives me strong vibes of the solo in Born Under Punches by Talking Heads.
Yeah, I genuinely laughed when that that scratchy solo came on, it just sounded so weird, but I was entertained by it nonetheless.
I do think it works incredibly well.
Yeah. But yeah, I really like that track. I love the groove of that track, that kind of, that odd kind of out of tuney guitar riff it's got a wub bass underneath, which kind of goes slightly out of time then back in time with the rhythm of the guitar riff, and it has just this really odd groove that I really, really dig. And then the string arrangements as well, I thought were fantastic. And I thought the lyrics weren't bad on that track either. They do follow a lot of the themes of this album. This song in particular is about wanting to hear news straight, which kind of goes along this theme of propaganda, misinformation that goes through the album. But in this song, it felt a lot more kind of down to earth and human, because he's basically saying, stop, giving me bullshit and actually break news to me as it should be done. And it's like the one point lyrically on the album where I thought I can actually get behind it. So yeah, okay. I really enjoyed this track.
I thought the lyrics were decent on the track. Well, definitely better than a lot of things on this album. I didn't think they were the best, to be honest. That comes in other tracks. I agree with you with a lot of things there. The only thing I'd add is the rhythmical and melodic symbiosis of Matt's vocals, and the synth line in the verse, I think is great. Yeah. And I actually think on an album where I was very disappointed with Dominic Howard's drumming, because I think he is a fantastic drummer, this track I think had the best drums on the album for me.
Yeah.
Also, I am a sucker for anything that has a theremin in it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely fair enough. Yeah, and I'm going to pick up on your point about Dom's drumming. Yeah, it's very much sequenced drumming.
It's very subdued
throughout this album, and it kind of goes along with the kind of synthwave direction that they're going with. But I would have liked a few more moments, because I can probably pick out maybe one or two moments where the drums stood out to me on the first track, Algorithm, and then on my least favourite track, but we'll get to that later. But
can I talk about my favourite track?
Yeah.
It's the one I guessed would be your favourite track.
Yeah.
I think Propaganda is one of the most bizarre things that Muse have made in forever.
Propaganda.
Yeah. The first time I heard it, I was not at all convinced by the track, and it took a second listen for me to realise, okay, this is kind of genius.
Yeah.
In how much of it just shouldn't work but does. I mean, it's got the very funky guitar lines and the trap hi-hats that work so well together, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And then my high point on the entire album is the slide guitar solo in the middle of it, with the trap hi-hat still going over the top, and it's bizarre. It shouldn't work, and it does. And Matt's voice is, I mean, dare I say it, kind of sexy on this track.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are absolutely ridiculous, comparing propaganda to sexual attraction. Yeah. I still don't know whether it works, but I mean, it's at least inventive.
Well, I mean, 2 points on that song made me laugh. The first time I heard the hook, I mean, I've done something similar before with Madness, and just hear it's so distorted, and it almost sounds like a didgeridoo sound underneath it. It's just so kind of funny to me. And then I kind of also think maybe Matt Bellamy's showing his age a little bit with the first very word of the song, floozy.
Yeah.
When I heard that, my immediate thought was, I haven't heard that word in a very long time. But yeah, it's a very interesting track, and I really dug how the kind of smooth funk verses built up over the course of the song as well. So yeah, that was another one I enjoyed.
The lyrics for the track, I think, are on par with most of the rest of the album, but in the case of this song just being as bizarre as it is, I think they do work, because you've got the second verse is, cool chick, you ate my soul just like a Death Eater. I'm the ocean, you're an oil slick now, but I'm choking on your thought pollution. Baby, don't you know? Yeah,
I kind of think that's funny, but I kind of like it at the same time, because on a technical level it works, but it's also a very musy lyric.
I mean, I can imagine many bands that if they used those lyrics, I would just laugh at them, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, probably last album I still would have laughed at Muse doing that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did. But... Well, as far as the other two tracks that I think are good on this album, in that sort of run of 4 songs, the first one you've got is, this is probably my least favourite of the 4, but still one of the better ones on the album, is Pressure.
Yeah.
Which sounds like, it reminded me a lot of, I can't remember the name of the song now, but it was off the latest Queens of the Stone Age album. It had a very sort of cock rock guitar riff. And I remember first time I was listening to that, I was thinking, okay, I'm not going to like this track. And then it goes into the chorus, and it's just, I really appreciate how fluidly it changes into such a sort of light and breezy chorus with the lovely backing vocals. And, well, I don't know, I maybe would have liked a little bit more out of it. I do appreciate that they managed to transition those parts together quite well.
Yeah. I just it was another song that made me laugh, but I think for the right reasons as well, because after the verse with the first guitar riff, it goes into the second one, which is the one I think you're talking about, maybe the da na na da 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 da. Then you get pressure building. Yeah, it makes me laugh, but I just love enjoying it as well. So I did really like Pressure as well. I'd probably say that was my second favorite on the album. But yeah, I did really like Pressure.
Well, the other track I want to bring up for the right reasons is Something Human, which is probably their most radio-friendly song on the album, I would have thought. It's definitely a change of pace from the bizarre and the political you get in the first half, and it's just a lovely song about needing a break, you know. And I think that the change from plucked guitar to strum guitar between the verses is nice. I like the catchy drum beat that comes in. The backing vocals in the chorus doing the, whatever, works so much better than on the next track, Thought Contagion. And one other thing I picked out is that the choice to have an odd number of bars in the chorus is just a nice little touch.
Yeah.
It adds a little bit of spice.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that track stood out too much to me, but it was better than some of the other tracks on the album.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said all I can about the tracks I liked on the album.
Yeah,
because besides those, I don't think there was a whole lot to appreciate.
Because in the second half of the album, okay, what I will say about Thought Contagion is that they could have changed just a few things about it, and it could have been a pretty good track.
What I love is that the intro has the same compositional elements as the chorus, except without any vocals. And I could tell just from listening to the intro that the chorus was going to have the backing vocals going, whoa, whoa, whoa. I could just hear it in my head, and I knew it was coming. And they didn't. I mean, they did disappoint, but.
Oh, you knew it was going to happen.
I knew it was coming. And
I just thought there's so many more interesting things they could have put over it rather than those stadium chants. They're just not.
The lyrics on that track are similar to Propaganda in how bizarre they are, but it hasn't got the bizarre nature of the composition to really back it up and make it stand out as being good.
Yeah. I will say I do really like the bass and synth combo. The synth when it's not the chants, but I kind of want to just like go back in time, get in the studio with Muse and say, you just need to change these couple of things and it'll be a great track. But
yeah, and I think the problem is with a lot of the weaker tracks on the album, they try and cover up how creatively stagnant they are with very expensive sounding production. This is especially true on my two least favourite tracks on the album.
Are they going to be mine as well?
One other. Well, I made a note of on the track Algorithm, which I didn't hate because it has some good elements in it. I really like the piano flourishes that come in, but I mean, it's just got such an incredibly dull rhythm section throughout.
Yeah,
it gets really boring, and I remember thinking, "Oh, this is going to be the whole album, isn't it?" I'm glad I was wrong, but I don't think it's a very strong starting track. But tracks that I really didn't like include the second track, The Dark Side, which I think is another victim of just an incredibly dull piece of composition backed up with very flashy, dynamic production. I mean, there's that synth riff that just goes throughout the entire song and never stops.
Yeah.
It just gives me a headache.
Yeah, to me, The Dark Side, it didn't kind of bother me. I mean, there was nothing really that stood out because the rhythm that they use is one that Muse have used quite a lot in their composition. So already from the beginning, it sounded a little bit tired. But then the guitar solo, I thought was really uninspiring as well.
Yeah, the guitar solo was a weak point for me.
So,
I remember watching Matt Bellamy posted on one of their social media things a video of him playing the solo. And I think I was at work, so I was watching it with the sound off, and I remember just thinking, that looks like he's playing the exact same thing over and over again. And then I listened to it, and he was.
Yeah.
And it's not even interesting what he's playing over and over again. But that's not my least favourite track. Second least favourite track for sure. And I think if you were to guess, you could easily guess what my least favourite track on the album is.
Get Up and Fight.
Yeah.
That song made me angry.
That song made me angry.
What bullshit is that? What kind of sampled female voice are they trying to put on it? What kind of bullshit 30 Seconds to Mars chorus are they trying to put on that? Oh my goodness, that song,
the melodic vocal passage, I think, could have worked if the song had been better. I mean, Matt's vocals have never, to my knowledge, have never sounded as bad as they sound on the chorus to that song. Oh God, it's so whiny and melodramatic, and I mean, just generally the verses are underwhelming and clearly filler between the huge stadium rock choruses that come up. And at this point, I was just thinking to myself, Matt Bellamy probably pictures himself as the triumphant leader of some sort of revolution that he started, watching the robotic overlords fall under his campaign.
Yeah.
No, that's not what this is.
It's very, very underwhelming. But another thing that irked me a little bit was that they basically did the same song last album, and it was called Revolt, and it was one of the worst songs from Drones. But Revolt had one saving grace. In the bridge, Matt does this incredible vocal slide up into his falsetto, and it's probably the best moment on Drones, to be honest. And I just thought, yes, that's amazing. But then this song, he goes into his falsetto at the end, but it sounds
awful.
It kind of sounds just forced. And
one of the points that I was going to make for the album in general is I know a lot of people think that Matt Bellamy, the way that he starts each phrase with a big gulp of air and it's so audible in every track, I thought he actually improved that somewhat on this album. It was a lot less notable, except on this song. Jeez, it's horrible. I hate this song. I really hate the song.
Yeah, it's easily one of the worst songs they've done, in my opinion. But then it gets followed up by Blockades, which I think is almost as bad. To me, Blockade sounds like one of these kind of YouTubers doing, I'm going to create a Muse song and put every single Muse cliche, make it really dramatic, all the distortion. And
to me, it sounded like a cross between Bliss and Stockholm Syndrome, but without the things that make those two tracks good.
Yeah.
It's just everything that is standard about Muse without anything that is interesting about Muse.
And so, I actually don't have any more notes on that song other than I just didn't like it. And the lyrics about, the smash, raise, and these kind of
smash, raise.
Like what? I don't even know what the song is supposed to be about, smashing these barriers. But I just felt as though the song itself was a barrier.
Yeah, Muse aren't smashing any barriers with this album.
Oh no. Oh dear.
I mean, in fact, the final track, The Void, is pretty descriptive of how I felt after coming out of this album. Yeah, there's just a sort of empty space left where I should have feelings.
And the Void particularly disappointed me because even on Muse's weaker albums, they usually come up with some kind of very good album closer, I usually think. But The Void was very
weak.
It was subdued, and subdued can work. It worked on the Second Law, I thought, but it didn't work here. It just felt empty, and maybe that's the point. It's a void. Who knows? But
I get what you're saying. But it's another case of trying to describe away bad songwriting with it's so meta. Look what we did. Get fucked.
Yeah. We did skip over Dig Down.
I mean, do you want to talk about Dig Down? Because to me, I don't think it's any better than it was when we originally talked about it. I mean, the guitar solo in it is worse than I remember it being. It's so boring. I mean, I kind of like the sort of Queen-esque attempts at backing vocals, but that's not anything new to Muse. They've been trying to do that for a while.
Yeah, and the wubbing bass line.
I don't know why Muse. It's like, what idea should we have for this album? We tried dubstep yet? Yeah, but I mean, I don't think we explored it to its full potential. Wah, 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 wah. That's exactly how I felt.
Oh, so so basically the last four tracks are pretty
Like the second quarter of the album, I'd say is pretty
yeah.
good.
I would say I probably liked Algorithm and The Dark Side, the first two tracks, a little bit more than you did. I mean, they're not the best at all, but I kind of didn't mind them. If you know what I mean. And then it got good, and then it got really bad for me. So I can only give it a messy, all out of the place out of 10. Probably translates into a 5, but
Yeah, I mean, it started as a 5. I think it might have gone down to a 4, but
yeah.
that's still an improvement over some other things that they've released recently. And I just hope that they take the good elements of this album and expand them on the next one.
Well, I think from the last few albums on, Muse are always going to be the same. I think Matt Bellamy. I think I said this to you last week at some point. He has this thing where he seems to think every idea is a good idea, and because of that, they're always going to be a meme at this point, basically, releasing the same album over and over with different things to laugh about and something to enjoy maybe here and there. But yeah.
First time I listened to Fort Contagion, I had to turn it off and listen to Citizen Erased. Oh, please make another song as good as Citizen Erased.
Please, Muse, it would be awesome.
Right, so I'm glad that that's out of the way, because now we can move on to something that is, I mean, it's worse, probably.
I would say so.
I know, okay. So last year we talked about Jaden Smith.
Yeah.
In releasing his big commercial breakout album, Sire, which it showed a lot of potential, I thought. It wasn't executed perfectly, but there were some moments on it which I appreciated.
And he dominated your choices for the awards in our...
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. Not all of them
in the award show.
But I do think that I still listen to 90 from that album quite a lot, because I think that production-wise it's pretty perfect. So, our aspiring saviour of rap music, our blessed Lord Jaden, has released a new album called The Sunset Tapes, a cool tape story, which is 11 tracks and 37 minutes long, and I think there are actually big improvements on this album. Namely, it's half the length, and he doesn't try and rap about artichokes.
2 points to Jaden.
Other than that, it's taken all of the bad parts of Sire and just doubled down.
I honestly thought this album was atrocious.
There
was one track that I could say that I maybe liked, and then...
What was the track?
Yeah.
Okay, for me it was Distant. But...
Okay. Okay, let me read these lyrics from Distant for you.
Oh, no, mate. Mate. I am already fully aware that the lyrics on every single one of the songs on this album are just awful.
Okay.
In fact, I've got a list here, and I've managed to get, just from the first 3 songs, I've managed to get 5 examples.
Okay. I mean, the thing is with the lyrics for me in this album, and it's probably why I really did not enjoy this as much as Sire, was that there was a few moments that made me laugh, but there were a lot of times where I just thought the lyrics were so boring and dull, and they just sound like they're written by someone who doesn't know how to write lyrics. And I just didn't find it as funny this time round. There were 2 moments. There were 2 moments where I did laugh, and I was like, that made me laugh. I have been successfully entertained, but then I was...
for a 37-minute long album, 2 laughs...
better than Tenacious D, but we'll get onto that.
I would like to read some lyrics. Okay, so from the first track, Soho, you've got... this is quite a lengthy bit, because fuck me, it's bad. Trying to get me, they think they slicky. I'm on the road, though. I got all those sexy pictures of you wearing no clothes. I don't post those, you know the flow's so cold. The mic froze over 'cause he know I'm frozone. Everything I wear on the air is the wardrobe. Fuck the popo, bounce like this pogo. See what you do to me, bae, I'm loco. Hit me on the phone. I mean, there's so much wrong with that, honestly. First time I listened to it, I had to pause it just after the bit where he said, I got all those sexy pictures of you, I don't post those, and just think, Jesus, Jaden. Jesus Christ.
What creepy. Oh, that's going to age well, isn't it?
Yeah. And then you got the mic froze over because I'm Frozone, which is awful.
Oh.
Everything I wear on the air is the wardrobe.
I don't get that.
I think it's meant to say I dress like a pillock because I dress like a pillock.
Okay, yeah. Makes sense.
Okay, that's just one. Okay. Next, this is shorter. Rap is just one of my fetishes, like a dragon that's pregnant.
Yeah, I wrote that. That's one that did make me laugh. I've written that one down as well, and oh my goodness, I don't like a dragon that's pregnant. I was trying to work out if that was a reference to something. I couldn't think it. Maybe that actually is a fetish of Jaden Smith. Pregnant dragons.
I don't want to think about it
Oh.
at all. Next up. Nah. I need the spaghetti from Tuscanova with the olive oil and the garlic with the motherfucking truffle fries with no cheese.
You know what that reminded me of? You probably haven't heard it. There's this rap CD for kids called like the Alien Rap or something like that, and basically it's this kind of story about aliens, but all the songs are about alien food and how they cook, and that's what that reminded me of.
This has just reminded me of something a bit off topic. We were talking recently about, is there any good kid rap? And while this isn't kid rap as such, I realise that there's something worse than kid rap, which is Christian rap. I heard a hip hop version of Amazing Grace the other day, and it worked about as badly as you can expect.
Ooh, okay.
I've got one more example of Jaden Smith lyrics.
Go on, yeah.
Fountains, the mountains. Mountains, stuck in the mountains, stuck in my own ways, stuck in the hallways, always. Mountains, fountains, around them, all around them. I got the water, why am I drowning? Mountains, fountains, allow this.
That track is so bad.
I mean, complete spoilers here. The track that is off, Play This on a Mountain at Sunset, is... it's got 3 negative marks for me, which I've never done before.
Okay.
Because that is, to me, just... Oh, okay. Man, it's the worst thing I've heard
to
this
describe
year.
This track, imagine if Migos tried to do ambient music.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It doesn't work. It does not work.
It's completely... Because it does kind of go for that softer, ambient, kind of beatless approach. And then it's just the auto-tune on this album.
It's the most horrific. Like, I'd rather break open a thermometer and pour mercury down my ears than allow that to come into my ears.
Oh, the auto-tune. Like, I had to take this album in chunks. I couldn't listen all the way through, even though it is a slightly shorter album. Oh.
I think headbutting a wall would be more enjoyable than listening to the auto-tune on this album.
Agreed.
I mean, It's one of the most perfunctory performances, not just on this album, but that I can think of. And it feels as though Jaden expects poignancy to come from whatever he says and just doesn't try because of it. On top of that, the production on this track is just incredibly monotonous. It's not mixed well. It's an offensively bad song with terrible lyrics, production, performance, composition, mixing. Just everything is wrong with this track.
Yeah, and I kind of think that's a microcosm of the album as well. I mean, that track is bad for all the points you've listed. 100% wholeheartedly agree with you. But those problems bleed into so many of the other tracks. There are so many tracks where I've written down on my notes, there just seems to be no momentum here. Jaden's delivery is monotonous, and the auto-tune just makes it completely unlistenable. There's no real sense of flow. The instrumentation is weak. Nothing's grabbing me. It's a trawl to get through. It really is.
I mean, the only other song I can think of recently, which I just haven't been able to listen to because it hurts, is Church by Fall Out Boy. But at least with that one, I could see vaguely what they were going for, what the appeal of that song might be. This is a track that I'm going to do everything I can to avoid listening to ever again. Yeah,
it is really bad, really bad. Just because I was going to mention it earlier, this one lyric from Distant that I want to...
Yeah, go on, sorry. We went on a really long tangent to get away from that one.
Okay. All issues disappear soon as I can cough. No soft tissues. My tear fell and froze. Now my collarbone is all crystals. What? What is he?
Oh,
what is he
Jaden.
smoking?
Oh, Jaden. Just to clear it up, I don't think that Distance is a good track. I think it's half a decent track. I think Jaden's rapping on it somewhat complements the production, which is more than can be said for any other track on the album to me. His crooning vocals still suck. They're absolutely dreadful. I think that the pitch shifted vocals that go high and then low and then high and then low on a sort of continual sweeping sort of motion. I mean, it's the only interesting thing I could get out of this album.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the song that has the kind of a cappella arrangement at the end. When I first listened to it, I thought, oh, this is something a bit different and interesting. But then I realised that the arrangement itself is very dull as well. Like, there's no real interesting rhythmic or harmonic.
By the time you get to that point on the album, you'll just take what you can get.
Yeah, yeah, it's very uninspired. Like I said, there was only one track that I kind of would say I kind of liked, and that was Yeah Yeah, which had a bit of a nicer backing. There was a bit of melody to it, so at least there was something for me to kind of grab onto and enjoy, and that's the positive thing I had to say about it. No, I thought that was listenable, and the lyrics were actually somewhat endearing on that track. So I'm gonna give Jaden that one track.
I'm happy for you. Because I just found that track very irritating, to be honest. I found the lyrics to be just ridiculously vapid. But I mean, just generally on the whole album, that's what you can expect. There's no real cohesion to the album, and all 11 tracks are incredibly wishy-washy at best. It's like you said, Nigo's trying to make an ambient project, and even the bangers on the album are as generic as they come, and there's nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
And just the auto-tune, Joe.
The auto-tune.
It's stuck in my mind.
It's
just ingrained.
It's
and Jaden's diction is just rotten to the core. It's like when he croons, it's a mix between mumbling and crooning, and when he raps, it's a cross between mumbling and ranting. It's the auto tune is diabolically, abysmally, apocalyptically bad.
It is an abomination, isn't it? One note I've put down is that it gets a little bit more tolerable in the last two tracks. I don't know whether that I'm just adjusting to it 30 minutes in or if it does get better, but I'm going to say give this album a hard miss unless you want to torture yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
I almost kind of feel sorry for Jaden because, he's born into show business, basically, but he can't write music at all.
No, he can. But he's chosen to walk away from being able to do that on 2 tracks on Sire.
Yeah. Have you checked the songwriting credits for?
No, I know that this album had a lot of people working on the production.
Really?
Or maybe I read that about a different album. I don't know.
I certainly hope not. Oh my goodness, people need to get out of the music industry and turn their hands to gardening or something else.
I've just got one more point to make, which is that this album is terribly paced as well. The first 7 tracks feel like an eternity, and then the final 4 might as well just not be there.
Yeah,
it's a horrible album to sit through.
The momentum is horrible. It's it's terrible. To put a score on it at this point, it's easily one of the worst albums we've reviewed.
Yeah, I'm trying to decide.
I'm trying to decide
between a 1 and a 2.
Same.
Because I've been trying to work out my own scoring system, and I think nothing gets a 1 or a 2 unless it's offensively bad, which this album is. But with the fact that I thought that Distant was all right, does it get the 1? Or do I tweak my scoring so that it can go down to 0 and give this a 1? I hate this album.
Better or worse than Witness by Katy Perry, then?
Well, The thing about Witness is I didn't manage to get all the way through it. I got 6 tracks in and gave up because it was just horrible to listen to. Whereas I have managed to listen to all of this. But then again, I could say the same about Machine Gun Kelly. I managed to listen to the whole of, what was it, Bloom?
Bloom.
I managed to listen to all of that and wasted my life because of it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
I think it's probably slightly better than Witness by Katy Perry.
Okay. My lowest score is a 1 out of 10. And I'm going to give this the lightest 2 possible. It's on the cusp of being that 1 out of 10. I don't think this didn't anger me or upset me as much as 30 Seconds to Mars album did this year. So I think that's what splits it apart for me, I suppose.
I'd have to decide what my rating system is. So this either gets a 1 or a 2. But,
it's down
like
there.
If I give something a 1 or a 2, I would really hope that anyone listening doesn't go, "Oh, I'll listen to that." This isn't even worth listening to for a laugh.
No.
This is.
I mean, we've read out the lyrics that are worth a laugh. So yeah, unless you wanted to torture someone, which some people might be a kink. I don't know. Then give it a miss.
Well, we've got the 2 albums that we were going to talk about out of the way because we've got something special planned for this episode. But first of all, we have a special treat for you to relieve you from the terrible music we've talked about. Because if you'll remember from last time, we defeated James in his quest to destroy all genres of music, and because he lost a battle of puns against Joe, we forced him to cover a song of our choosing. So we forced him to cover "Big Enough" by Kieran J. Callanan, which I unironically adore. I think it is an absolutely fantastic track. James doesn't think so. James really doesn't like it. So
well, he probably doesn't after we made it.
No.
Made him cover it.
So I'm very. We're gonna play this now. I haven't actually listened to it yet, so I'm going to listen to it now, and we will see you on the other side.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
I've lived in lonely cities, I've crossed deserts on camelback, and I filled the halls of folklore with things I'd rather we forget. I could sweep you up the street, so say this is goddamn tough, but this town might be big enough.
I reckon what you're saying, but this dog's run every course. I've roamed without my boots on, I've raced without my horse, and then I ate my horse's meat straight from my horse's bones. 'Cause this dog must roam alone.
Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many and so few.
You could shoot me in the mountains, in the cold that rain. We could do it in the countryside as we walk the plain. It wouldn't give us any closure. All cowboys need to trust that this town might be big enough for both of us.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
be a goddamn liar if I said this ain't a lonely town. And what I wouldn't give to have a friend around. We could trade in all our silver bullets and buy a patch of dust. This town might just be big enough for all of us. Everybody, this town, this world, are you big enough? From Australia to America and Russia and China, all of Asia, let me out. Europe and Great Britain, or Canada and Croatia and Serbia, Kenya, India, it's serious, and Syria, believe in us, Bolivia, it's gonna be big enough for Africa and Korea, Algeria, Nigeria, Antarctica, around the equator, Cuba, Indonesia, Jamaica, we'll take you to Florida and catch you later. Christianity, Islam, Judaism. Let me out. Are you big enough?
I mean, honestly, I feel kind of bad that we did that to him. Now,
I don't, because I'm a supervillain.
I mean, that was far better than I had ever hoped it could be. So, James, you are forgiven for your crimes against music. Though I will say for next time, the line is doggam, not goddamn.
Yes.
Well, we've got one more thing we're going to do. We've been hyping this up for the entire podcast.
Yeah, we've got the Olympics.
Yes, the Olympics have come to Podcastville.
Yeah.
I don't know, where do we do our podcast from? Which isn't obviously the address of my house.
Birmingham?
Yeah. Fresh from the gulag.
Yes.
So we decided that there were just too many bad releases this month to talk about each one.
Yeah.
We didn't want to resign them all to the end, just a quick shout out. So we decided we'd hold our own special Bad Music Olympics.
Yeah.
With different categories that people could enter into. So we can talk about some of the releases we haven't mentioned so far.
Yes.
And some that we have. So first of all, in our events list, we have got Missing the Mark Tree. So this is the event for bands or artists attempting to do something and failing miserably.
Yes.
So we've got 3 competitors lined up for this one, all the way from America. We've got Tenacious D with their new album Post-Apocalypto. I believe they're competing under the grounds of attempting to make a comedy album and making something that is anti-fun.
Yeah.
We've also got Little Mix from Great Britain competing with their new album LM5, attempting to make a statement on attitudes towards women in society and coming across as just hopping on the bandwagon.
Yes. And then we also have Poppy with Am I a Girl? And the whole kind of Am I a Girl thing that she went into the album, in my opinion, didn't really work, considering exactly what Poppy's about and what she was going for. But we'll go into them into a little bit more detail and find out which one's the winner.
Yeah,
or loser. Or
we'll start with Tenacious D, and I have a little bit of an anecdote about this one. So when I first listened to Post-Apocalypto, I was playing the new Spider-Man game on my PlayStation.
I've heard that's really good.
It's pretty good, yeah. It's definitely fun. It's a lot of fun, in fact. And then the second time I listened to Tenacious D's Post-Apocalypto, I've realised that I could actually picture exactly where I was in Spider-Man in New York City and exactly what I was doing at the point that any given track came on. And I realised that it was my brain going, this isn't fun. Stop doing this. Go back to doing something that was fun, like playing Spider-Man.
Yep. What can I say? For a comedy album, I did not laugh once.
And
It started off dull and it's just bad. The story isn't funny, it's just bad. Like it's the end of the world and then there are like what cave women
cave
and
women that
then
have
there's
sex
like
with them, and
then
then
there's like aliens.
MIT come to them, and
Yeah, and
aliens,
then
and
they
the Terminator shows up, and demons show up, and
and then
Donald Trump Jr. and the Ku Klux Klan.
but then don't they like split up and then get reunited
I
straight
don't know,
away?
because
And then
this is taken from their mini series Post-Apocalypto, and it's all extracts from that. But it doesn't work as an album because they're organised so haphazardly. You have no idea what's going on at any point.
and and it's not funny. I mean, I don't mind, plot points being bizarre or what have you, so long as I can actually get a laugh out of them. But it's just not funny.
No, it's tragically unfunny.
It's like there's a song about a dog called Hope, is it, or something like that?
Yeah.
And they're happy he's here, and then he's gone, and then it's sad, and I'm just like, what's got? Is this a story?
You got the second track, which is essentially Jack Black going, "Oh, I'm feeling a bit nervous about having sex. Oh, look at Kyle over there. He's having all these unmentionable things happening to him. Oh, suddenly there's this girl who's just like me." Actually, I will say the one point of the album I liked was the final minute of that track, which starts directly the last minute. It starts with the line, "My name is Conchita, and I'm also incredibly shy." I think the composition on that bit is pretty nice. But that's it. That's it in the entire, 30 minutes of album.
Yeah. I mean, it's 30 minutes. It feels 3 times as long.
Yeah.
Easily.
Oh, God.
Easily. Oh, so horrendously unfunny.
Yeah, anti-fun. Oh, next, Little Mix, LM5. So this album, which I think we established wasn't entirely written by Little Mix, and it comes through. They have lots of songs on here about women loving themselves, smash the patriarchy, all that jazz. And I mean, it's coming at somewhat of a timely moment. Maybe last year it would have been a bit more relevant, though I suppose women's suffrage has been going throughout history, so I suppose there isn't really a right time to talk about it. It's just all the time. But even still, with Little Mix's roots as, commercially manufactured pop band, the statements they're making on this album don't come across as liberating. They come across as hopping on the bandwagon.
Yeah. Interestingly, there's one song that where a male voice comes in and says, "Oh, are you on a feminist thing?" And then the beat drops, and they go, "Hell yeah, we are," or something like that.
Yeah, that's awful.
I checked the credits for that song. Yeah, they had the help of 9 dudes write that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so cringy.
And then you've got lines on it which are like saying, "Jiggle all this weight because I love it." Have you seen Little Mix? Because of the way that they're, commercially manufactured, they're not allowed to have weight.
Yeah, they're all,
So it comes across as very hypocritical to me. I mean, I'll just say at this point, we're both dudes, in case you hadn't realised. So maybe it's not our place to, discuss what is liberating and what isn't liberating for women, but that's the impression I got.
Yeah, I won't make comments on how people feel if they feel this album liberates them. Good for them, whatever. But to me, it just comes across as so vapid and not manufactured. What I will say is I do feel somewhat embittered by it, because there are genuinely great female songwriters and artists out there that do not get the attention they deserve at all. But then this kind of vapid commercialized feminism is what's popular. This is Little Mix. This is what's selling at the moment, and it does make me feel a little bit, bitter, I suppose, about it.
If you want an album which touches cultural issues more effectively and came out by a big name, and also came out this year, Janelle Monáe's new album Dirty Computer does a better job than this does, and it's just all round better.
By a long way.
That being said, I will just say that this Little Mix album did have some ideas on it that I didn't think were terrible. Some songs were pretty catchy, and for the most part, it just sounded like some friends, and like, "Welcome to the world of our friendship." And I can't really fault that.
Yeah, it's just kind of radio pop, really. Yeah. So,
Moving on to our final competitor.
Moving on, Poppy, Am I a Girl? So when I first heard this album, I wasn't really sure how well it sat with me, and I still don't know how well it sits with me, this concept that she's going for. I think it's important to kind of note that she is a fictionalized character, so the things she's singing about aren't personal, and it kind of makes sense in the canon. But then on this album, she's kind of playing with gender identity a little bit, and the thing is, at times it's humorous, like on Chic Chick, where she's like saying, if you don't like it, suck my dick, which is kind of, it's played for laughs and it kind of is funny. But then there are moments when she's serious about it as well. But then it just doesn't fit in with the Poppy lore when she's always like presented and identified as very feminine and very much a girl. And I couldn't help but get the feeling that it was kind of making light of people who might actually be suffering from gender dysphoria. And again, I don't know how I feel about it because she's a fictionalized character. There are things you can do with the story, but I just wasn't sure how well it worked.
I sort of get that, but for a different reason, which is that with Poppy Computer, last album she did, I sort of got the impression that with all this hyper feminine, songs like Bleach Blonde Baby, I got the impression with that twinned with the sort of vlogs, little videos she does on YouTube, that the idea was that she is a robot of some sort masquerading as this, hyper feminine woman. So that just seemed to vanish on the new album for me, which was just a bit weird to me.
It just it was like changing the law without any kind of real explanation or reason.
So I didn't really get much out of what it was going for on this new album. So we've got to award some medals, I guess. So bronze, gold, and silver.
I'd give bronze to Poppy, maybe.
I would give bronze to Poppy.
Because I'm still not sure exactly how I feel about it.
I would give silver to Little Mix, I think.
Yeah, agreed. Because
oh my god, that is the least funny album I've...
Tenacious D, what is wrong with you?
You used to make good... kind of humorous, but at least interesting music.
Yeah, at least entertaining.
This album is just a whole barrel of not laughs.
It's a barrel of empties. You look inside the barrel and it's just scum.
On to the next category.
Yes,
the next event is pole vaulting over good compositional choices, which is the competition for artists that made an effort to fail.
We've already put one that we've discussed, which is Muse with Get Up and Fight, which I've already said made me angry.
We don't need to talk about that one anymore. That one's made its case. But we've got a couple here, which we haven't talked about yet. First of all, Smashing Pumpkins have made their... I say it's a comeback, but it hasn't been that long since their last album.
Would you really call it a comeback?
No. So the first track on the album, Knights of Malta, starts with... Oh my god. Sounds like Waluigi.
It sounds like...
So Billy Corgan's abysmal vocalising. And then finally, Imagine Dragons are competing with their track Boomerang. With the bit... It's got this final chorus, which is meant to be, all uplifting. It's if you imagine an Imagine Dragons song and you're hearing it, but it's got you're my boomerang, rang letting boomerang rang and that repeats, and it's one of the most bizarre and terrible compositional choices I can think of this year.
It is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, those three are pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. I would probably say... While I don't think it's a very good choice of composition, I also don't think it offended me that much. So I'm going to say Imagine Dragons probably gets bronze from me.
I'd give Smashing Pumpkins the bronze because at least it made me laugh.
Okay. Well, I think we can both agree who's getting gold.
Yeah. Muse.
Oh wow.
Oh dear me.
Gold.
They made an effort to fail on an album which actually had, ideas as bizarre as they might be. To have a track which is so hopping onto the mainstream and not even trying.
It's the equivalent of a Razzie Award. This is not a good gold to win.
Not a good gold to win.
No. Up next, we have a category where we haven't actually decided on the name yet, so we've got two names for it. Joe wanted to call it weightlifting marshmallows. I decided it should be called not pulling their weight lifting. something to do with weightlifting. Yeah. So this is for artists making as little effort as possible.
Yeah. And this is kind of throughout the album rather than an individual song.
Yeah. So first of all, Imagine Dragons with Origins.
The whole album Imagine Dragons are the kind of band who makes music like once they're past their prime and they're just, knocking out records for the sake of it, but they never had a prime.
Yeah, they're sort of, I'd sort of equate them with Nickelback at this point in terms of their career trajectory. Speaking of people that never really had a prime and are still going, Olly Murs.
Oh yeah. I mean,
his new album, You Know I Know, which it's long.
Yep, he got, what was it, 4th place on one of the X Factors. So he wasn't even a winner, but somehow he's managed to kind of keep himself in the pop world.
And he's released this new album, which is, an hour and a half? An hour and a half of the same track over and over again.
It's just
there's no variation.
Imagine the most bog standard radio pop you could imagine. It's trying so hard to be inoffensive that it's so dull and meaningless.
So next up, Rita Ora with her album Phoenix.
Yeah, only came out a week and a half ago. I listened to maybe a few tracks on it, and it's basically the same as Olly Murs.
It's the same over and over again. I will confess I haven't managed to listen to that one, but I will take your word for it because I've heard. I can't imagine it's particularly groundbreaking.
Not particularly good.
I put forward one which isn't actually an album; it's a song, but can be said about quite a lot of songs on this album. Mumford & Sons' new album Delta has got a track on it called 42, and it seems like they're attempting something new on this album, but somehow 42 still sounds as Mumford & Sons as a Mumford & Sons song can sound, and it's bland. It just feels like they've done as little work as possible they can to make themselves sound different. I'll just say now that actually I think that there are some interesting things on that album. It's not all terrible, but that song in particular, 42, the opening track, is. Which of those are we going to pick then?
I think
bronze.
For bronze, I'm going to give it to Imagine Dragons because I feel as though they actually try to make an effort, whereas the other two pop artists, like I'm giving the Mumford & Sons the unofficial 4th place.
Yeah,
but
I'd feel the same way.
But Imagine Dragons, at least they're trying.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing what they've always done, but it's not like they're just doing what every single other pop artist does. It's still not good. Yeah. This is not a pass for you, Imagine Dragons. No, still not happy with your efforts.
Very strong warning. Very strong warning. You're next to the gulag. But then we got Rita Ora and Olly Murs.
I would like to give Rita Ora second place. No, first place, because as much as I feel like Olly Murs has done as little as possible, he has also managed to make an album which is ridiculously long and a lot of tracks. So I suppose
he's lifting those marshmallows.
Yeah, slightly higher, just making more tracks, even if they do all sound exactly the same.
Yeah, okay, so silver to Olly Murs and Rita Ora.
You're getting that gold.
Gold.
Get in the gulag.
Get in the gulag.
How about you present the next category?
Oh, the Oh Dear Sweet Angel of Music, why are they still running marathon? So, I mean, might as well cover them in the same category.
For artists that have no business still releasing music.
No business still releasing music. Both Boyzone and Take That have released albums. Like, Boyzone released Thank You, Good and Good Night, which is an original album. Take That, Odyssey, which is a compilation album, but still. I don't get why they're still releasing music. Like the people who would have liked them back in the 90s, they're going to be middle-aged now.
In the 90s, I was in a very famous pop band.
They must be so washed up now. But do you know what I mean? Like, the people who were their audience, they're not going to spend money on them now, they're probably thinking, oh, when I was a teenager, I used to have a crush on that person. That's the only reason I bought their music. Like, that's like, why? I don't get it. And I did try to find the record sales for the I'm not the kind of person who'd usually kind of talk about, you know, record sales and how well they're doing, but you know, they're pop artists. Their whole thing is to try and make money. So but I couldn't find the details.
Yeah,
I'm assuming they're not good.
Morbid curiosity.
Yeah, I like, why? So we've got Boyzone, Take That,
and our third competitor, Smashing Pumpkins, with
Yeah.
their new comeback album, Shiny and Oh
Yeah.
So Bright, which is a concept album about Billy Corgan's bald head. That was a bad joke. I'm sorry.
I was trying not to laugh, actually. But yeah, well, the thing is, the Smashing Pumpkins, they used to be great. But
yeah, we talked about Siamese Dream a few
Yeah.
podcasts ago, which is a fantastic album, and even Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness is also a great album. And then there's 20 years of not good albums, or not so good albums at least. I mean, I thought that Shiny and Oh So Bright was average. Probably, I didn't think it was terrible. In fact, there were some songs on there I quite liked, but I don't think they should still be releasing music.
I was very nonplussed by Shiny and Oh So Bright. I just thought,
Yeah, I mean, there's some good performance on there, but also some that I think for the most part it's quite subdued. It doesn't take advantage of the great ability that these musicians have, especially the drums. The drums on the album are very disappointing to me. They could do so much more.
I don't remember the drumming.
I just think about
That's
the
all.
drumming. The drumming in Geek USA from Siamese Dream is the high point for me, and if they did that on every track, I would be happy no matter how bad the song was. So
yeah, I'd still give the Smashing Pumpkins the third place bronze.
they
They
get the
still have
bronze.
legacy.
Something that was really sad was when they announced their big comeback tour on this new album. I mean, it's only been 6 years since their last album, I think it is, so it doesn't make much sense to me. Someone looked at how many seats were being sold on these big arenas they were trying to book, and
Oh no,
there were a lot of empty seats.
Oh no, that does make me a little sad, but
Poor
yeah.
Billy Corgan.
So that leaves second place and first place.
I
and
couldn't
it's
separate them, to be honest.
because
I think
okay.
because Odyssey is a compilation album, I would probably give that the gold.
I was actually thinking the other way around, like, because what's the point in making new material? That's actually still running in the marathon.
To me, I think that if they're releasing new material, then that's different, because I don't think they're aware as such that they shouldn't be making music anymore. Whereas with Take That, they are aware. They've just decided, I like the money.
Because that's good, that means they should get the silver and not the gold.
Okay, well, I disagree, but I'm going to cave to you this time. So
okay, so Boyzone
get the gold.
Gets the gold.
Take That, get the silver. Smashing Pumpkins get the bronze.
Yes, and so the next item we have, the next race we have, is the sprint to the first cliche. How long does it take for an artist gets their first cliche? And let me tell you that some got there pretty quickly.
Oh yeah, all my life. So we've got 5 competitors for this one, because there are a lot of them that tried to get there. I'm going to start with Imagine Dragons with the song Natural, which is the opening on their new album. And it begins with Imagine Dragons' signature boring harmonised vocals, which sound like they were just transplanted from their hit song I Bet My Life. It's literally the first thing you hear in the album. There isn't even any time wasted getting there. I mean, maybe there's a millisecond of silence before it.
Not even that. Not even that. So yeah, pretty quickly. The Smashing Pumpkins, we're mentioning them a lot, it seems.
Yeah.
But the first track, Knights of Malta, is not good.
Wow.
We gotta make this happen. And that's between 4 to 6 seconds in, and it's such a generic line. It's a cliche.
Yeah.
It's cliched.
Tenacious D, their Post-Apocalypto album. starts with the title of the album being sung.
There's like 1 second of guitar strumming.
Apocalypto.
Yeah, sung in the most cheesiest Jack
End
Black.
of the world.
It doesn't set up the album well at all. But then also Olly Murs.
Olly Murs starts with, oh, would you believe it? Snoop Dogg makes an appearance.
Yeah.
Because where doesn't Snoop Dogg make an appearance?
Nowhere. And what's the first thing that Snoop Doggy Dogg says?
I think that the first thing he says is the name of the artists.
Yeah.
In the first 2 seconds.
Olly Murs. Snoop Dogg.
God, did the paycheck run out from when he was on that god-awful Corey Feldman album?
Oh.
And finally, Rita Ora with her song, first song on her new album, 1 to 2 seconds in. Time flies by when the night is young.
Wasted no time. There were like 3 little notes. Bum, 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 time flies by when the night is young.
That is a very cliche line.
Didn't even save it for the chorus, just notes straight in there.
Bronze. I think bronze should probably go to... This is a good question. I know who I want to give gold to.
Go on, who's your gold?
I want to give gold to Imagine Dragons because it is literally the first thing you hear.
Yeah.
There was no time wasted at all.
Do I think it's gold? I mean, on a technical level, I'll say yes, because it is the first thing you hear. I do think in terms of cliches, there are worse offenders.
I think Olly Murs gets silver from me.
Yeah, I'm going to give silver to Olly Murs and bronze to Tenacious D, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, the Smashing Pumpkins, they're just getting out of these, you know.
The thing is, they try and conceal that cliche with the fact that you're still reeling from the wow, 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 wow.
True.
It's such a dreadfully awful choice.
Okay. Up next,
the three-legged race of songwriting. For artists that have had other songwriters will write their songs the most. Now, Joe, you've done a lot of work on this one, actually looking up.
So I already know the order. Unofficial 4th place is Little Mix. They did have a lot of help writing their songs, but at least they're on the credits for them. So there's that. But in 3rd place, we have Rita Ora, who has joint writing credits on only 4 out of the 12 tracks. So that's not very good. So
not very good at all.
The person she's being tied to is, doing a lot. In 2nd place, silver medal, we have Boyzone. And so the 5 members in Boyzone, they each collectively appear once throughout the whole album. 4 of them on one of the tracks, and then Ronan has credits for another one where the song was helped with 10 other people. So yeah, very, very, very underwhelming performance. But then we have a surprise entry. We haven't talked about him yet.
Michael Bublé.
The ultimate normie artist.
Michael Bublé.
That everyone thinks is all right.
He pops out of hibernation once every Christmas.
Yeah, he's come up with a new album. I've forgotten what it's called. It's something like Love or something like that.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, for this November. He has partial writing credit for only 1 song out of the 11.
What? That's 1/11 of the album.
It's like not even 1/11.
What?
Bublé.
Michael Bublé. Get back in your Bublé bath.
I am disappointed but not surprised. So he gets a gold medal.
Right, moving on, we have the musical dressage for artists that made us laugh while trying to be serious. I feel like we've talked about a couple of these. First of all, the Smashing Pumpkins.
Wow, 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 wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's self-explanatory.
So when I first heard that, from then on, you can't take the rest of the album seriously.
Oh no, which is a shame. 'Cause it's literally the first thing you hear.
Yeah, you don't.
Done. Wah, 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 wah.
It's like you don't know to expect it at all, so it just comes as a complete.
It's such a terrible way to open the album. It just. I don't think I even laughed. I think my jaw just dropped, and I was just flabbergasted.
Yeah. Another one we've got, another artist we haven't mentioned yet, Cupcake or Cupcakey.
It's funny because it's a play on Bukaki.
I actually think her new album Eden, had some pretty fire flows on it. I kind of enjoyed it in that way, but some of her lyrics very funny, shall we say. But there was one song I just absolutely could not take seriously, and that was Garfield, where she's one of the hooks is fat cat, fat cat, fat cat, fat cat, fat cat, fat cat, Garfield. And then she goes on to say, Garfield, 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 my pussy heavy like a barbell.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the whole song, it's the most weird metaphors for sex that you can imagine. And I just, at some point, you just gotta laugh.
Yeah.
You gotta laugh.
Final competitor, and this is a bit of an interesting one because it's Muse. We haven't. There's nothing specific they're entering with. It just generally their album.
Okay, well things that made me laugh. Gangander. That made me laugh. The word floozy actually did make me laugh.
I think that as much as I say it's the high point on the album, the slide guitar section with the trap hi-hats made me laugh.
Yeah, the scratching guitars in Break It To Me, that made me laugh.
Yeah. The fact that I could predict the vocals coming in on Fort Contagion, the whoa, whoa, whoa. Yeah.
I mean, Dig Down, that's always a good laugh.
Yeah.
So I think there's a pretty obvious first place.
Yeah, I mean, Muse. Wow.
Yeah, Muse gets gold. I think I'm going to give Smashing Pumpkins silver because I feel like Cupcake has got to be at least sort of aware. I think she's self-aware, but it's just I thought it was funny.
Yeah, so I'll give Smashing Pumpkins second place because I don't think they are aware at all at how awful it is.
Yeah, and then Cupcake gets the bronze.
Yep. And now we've got the big final event, the finale,
yes,
which is the triathlon, which is for bad composition, bad performance, and bad lyrics, all rolled into one.
Triple whammy.
I did consider doing a pentathlon, but I couldn't think of a fifth event. I got bad production.
We might get too exhausted.
Yeah. So we've got 3 competitors for this one, and they are all pretty dire. Mm-hmm. First one we have talked about before, and I think you know our feelings on it. Jaden Smith's Play This on a Mountain at Sunset, competing with the lyrics mountains, mountains, fountains, yeah. It's repetitive, boring, hard to listen to, and as far as performance goes, how perfunctory it is.
Very dull, the auto-tune
is painful. Ugh. Well, enough on that. The second competitor aiming to take the gold is Tenacious D with the track JB Junior Rap, which is probably the least funny song on an already joyless album, which has the lyrics, jamming out because I'm rocking with my jam, can't stop my jam, motherfucker, my fucking jam is the best jam in the world. And I don't know about you, Joe, but I find that lyric to be especially funny. You can tell by the amount of jam repeatedly, lots of jam. It's
almost like the same gag from the best song in the world, but it's just completely lost any shine.
As far as composition goes, it's got one of the worst beats I have ever heard from hip hop. It's got this hi-hat pattern that is just terrible, and it doesn't stop. It just goes through the entire song, and it's just horrible. And then, not to say the lyrics I just read, is done entirely in auto-tune. Not even good auto-tune, and the rap section of the song is hideous.
Not good.
No.
Not good out of 10.
No. And the final one. You didn't like this one.
I didn't like this track, but this is very personal. Wasabi by Little Mix. It has some interesting lyrics. I mean, it has spit me out like hot wasabi, and I think this is a crime against Japanese cuisine. Wasabi is a delicacy, and it is fantastic, and it brings so much life to sushi. I was offended.
Spit me out like hot wasabi. Stick like toffee, sip like coffee. Wake up, change your mind, and drop me. Love to hate me, crazy, shady. Spit me out like hot wasabi. Don't you just love that rhythmical pattern? Doesn't that just get stuck in your head like a parasite?
They wrote this and they had help writing this. Why? I don't.
I mean, it's a terribly boring beat that's sung over, and it's got this distorted guitar section at the end of each chorus, which lasts 2 bars and adds nothing at all, and then just goes. And the rest of the song, it doesn't transition well between, because it just comes out of nowhere and then disappears.
Yeah.
And the performance by the singers is just so over the top, it's laughable, but not laughable because it's bad.
So we need to figure out who's...
Oh, I know who's getting the gold. There is no question to me who is getting the gold. It's just a battle for bronze and silver for me.
Okay, who's getting the gold for you?
Jaden Smith. Play This on a Mountain at Sunset.
Jaden Smith. Okay. I'm going to give second place to Little Mix then, because at least Tenacious D are trying to be somewhat satirical, I think, with that song. They're trying. They're making an effort. What Little Mix are trying to do with Wasabi makes no sense. I don't get what the song's actually about. I
think it's about public perceptions of them and how they're forever changing.
No, they're not. What? No, they're not changing. They've remained consistently the same from when they were X Factor. I think they did end up winning the X Factor. They were popular. They have continued to be a moderately successful pop act since their inception.
That's where the line "stick like toffee" comes in. Stuck in their old ways.
But then they've got "spit me out like hot wasabi." Well, I guess that's what I'm doing with them. But I like wasabi. So I'm giving silver to Little Mix then.
I will agree. Yeah. Bronze goes to Tenacious D, JB Junior Rap, which is just still dreadful.
So
on an album of pretty bad songs, that is the worst to me.
I think we've covered quite a lot of bad artists and bad things. I think we just need to confirm what's going in the gulag, because we did say Rita Ora. Is there anyone else who we think is gulag worthy?
I think we should designate one person from this list to the gulag. Not necessarily Rita Ora. That was me getting emotional, saying things I might not have meant. So we have to choose between Tenacious D, Little Mix, Poppy, Muse, Smashing Pumpkins, Imagine Dragons, Olly, Murs, Rita Ora, Mumford & Sons, Boyzone Take That. Yeah, it's just occurring to me how much dreadful music there's been.
There's been so much. I think some of those artists have a legacy that I respect, and so I'm going to say
Muse, Tenacious D, Smashing Pumpkins I will take out.
And Poppy as well, think.
Yeah. So Imagine Dragons, Olly, Murs, Rita Ora, Mumford & Sons I'll take out as well, because I don't think they were dreadful enough. I got to say, for me, it's probably Olly Murs. Because I don't know how you can make an album that is that long, has that many tracks, and there isn't any variety on it. There isn't even accidental variety.
Bordering on agreeing. Oh, I kind of have it a little bit in for Little Mix, but but I think they have provided me with a few laughs. So we'll go with Olly Murs.
Olly Murs. Get into the gulag.
To the gulag. Right, but what we will say, Little Mix, you're on watch. Rita Ora, you're on watch. Imagine Dragons, you are on watch.
Yeah, imagine. This is like the bit in The Apprentice where they're in the boardroom and you're just wondering, how have they not been fired yet?
Yeah,
it's a bit like that with some of these artists.
Yeah, we're being compassionate. Like, we may be supervillains, and well, I am at least, but we're being compassionate for now.
Well, I think that we should close the gulag for now before James tries any more escapes.
Yeah,
tries to take over music again. Though actually, I wouldn't mind some of the things he might do to some of the artists we've talked about today. Well, they live to see another day, and we will be seeing you in another podcast, because we're at the end of this one.
The end.
We made it through the sea of bad music. Man, that was that was just difficult.
I think I needed to get some of that off my chest,
Yeah, I think I need to go and listen to something good.
Yeah.
What's good that's come out this month? I feel like I should mention some good things that came out this month, but I'm not sure what there was. The new Architects album is all right, but didn't really leave a lasting impression. The new The Prodigy album is all right, but didn't leave a lasting impression.
Honestly, I think Cupcake's album is the only album I enjoyed as much as I did this month, if I'm going to be completely honest.
Yeah.
So, listen to that if you're feeling brave enough.
Yeah, if you want to say something away from this, go and listen to Cupcake.
Yeah.
Who we've barely discussed on this podcast. God, this has turned out well. Well, we'll see you in about a month's time for our Christmas end-of-year special,
Yes.
which hopefully will not be 2 hours like the last one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
F sharp. A sharp.